Hi, I'm Sarah Turcotte, Area Community Liaison for Bridges by Epic, and I'm here with my co-host and colleagues.
I'm Abby Lachine. I'm the Life Enrichment Director at Bridges by Epic in Westford.
And I'm Erica Lab, Executive Director of Bridges by Epic in Westford. Hi, everyone.
Hello. We're excited to be here today. We're here to help our friends with the WestfordCAT organization as well as the Medford Council on Aging to bring some helpful caregiver tips to folks at home. We have been honored and love helping the Council on Aging and the WestfordCAT's efforts in getting their to-go activity kits into people's homes who are caregiving for a loved one. At Bridges, we are a memory care assisted living, and engagement and stimulation is something that we do best. And we wanted to bring Abby, who's our Life Enrichment Director, as well as Erica, to just help share some tips with folks to help keep their loved ones engaged at home. So certainly, we would love to start off with just sharing about routine. Routine is something that we do a lot at Bridges, and it's incorporated into the residents' daily activities. And would just love to start with how we approach routine for our residents and how people can apply it at home.
So when you're looking at a routine for someone, you need to take into consideration the individual or your loved one. Mm-hmm. What are things that they like to do? Mm-hmm. What are things that certain times as well too. So if they are an early bird, do they mm-hmm. like to get up in the morning early, or are they later in the day? You can also take into consideration meal times. Mm-hmm. We all have structured meal times, and that works really well with people with memory impairment. So every day breakfast is at this time, lunch is at this time, and dinner, and that sets that physical memory for them, so that they're aware of that, because they don't really have a sense of time, but that's something that they can relate to.
It's like a physical memory, almost knowing what to expect because the time of day is happening and reoccurring at the same time. And almost like you said, Abby, it's really helpful when you're thinking about those routines and how people, what are people doing during the time of day? Like you mentioned, if someone's an early bird and have the most energy during the morning, I know that you think about time of day and when folks are participating at their best times.
Yeah, so that's another thing that we take into consideration. You base your day on, maybe more physical activity things in the beginning part of the day, mm-hmm. And then after lunch, you'll have something like like for less.
Stimulating, maybe?
Thank you. So you might do like a time for a game or a puzzle, mm-hmm. or something that can work there, like a trivia game kind of a thing. That works better for some people at the, in the mid part of the day. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of times, as you get on in the afternoon, you want to start taking those activities down a little bit. Mm-hmm. So you do things that are more calmer, like, you may watch something or play some classical music, mm-hmm. or watch a video that you might have that has nature on it or something like that. Do some slight stretching or those types of movements.
Well, you can almost set the tone. I mean, you guys do that all the time. I know when I walk into a Bridges community in the morning, you can hear more of the upbeat type music, which can help set the tone and bring those energy levels up. And doing those more, strenuous type physical activities in the morning. And, I always love joining in on the craft groups. And but it's, I think, also being realistic. I know that you really are realistic when it comes to setting the time. Mm-hmm. I know that the activities we plan are usually short span, also with a little time to break in between. So I think it's helpful for folks to take into consideration, where your loved one's at and how you're setting up their day and keeping it realistic, mm-hmm. And not too strenuous. We always say that it's about the involvement in the process of the activity and not necessarily the final outcome, which you guys do a great job with.
Yeah, that's that's a very good point, Sarah. It is. A lot of people have your what you think is going to happen or how it should work out, and when actually we should be paying attention to or your loved one. Are they enjoying it? And that's okay, and that's what it's about. You're looking at them to say like they're staying engaged. It may not look like you wanted it to do, or but it's how they feel.
Sure, it's the conversation. If there's a smile, we really gauge how the person is interacting by the body language and the maybe even the conversation that comes with the various activities you're doing, and just kind of talking about how important routine is and considering your loved one's interests, maybe even past or present. You do a really great job at adapting activities and adapting activities on folks' past interests, but I also think that folks should keep in mind trying something new, because we see that happen a lot at Bridges. So I just love to share how you gear and maybe adapt some of the old interests that folks may have, and maybe some of the new things that folks might be open to.
Yep. So so a lot of times, we do a lot of like modifications. So we continue their life experience goals. So if they were like, we have a chorus, or if if they painted, you can still do those things. They're still valued. You just need to modify how you're presenting it. Like Sarah said, a lot of times things are shorter, and you may need to do a lot more preparation work. Where before they used to be able to maybe get something out on their own, you may have to set up, if they're painting, like set the paints up, set up the picture. And sometimes you even may have to give them like a picture so that they know what to paint. So it's not that they can't, it's just that you need to modify it so that they don't get frustrated or too many steps. And so that
sometimes
they're able to
even putting out one step at a time, right?
Yep. And maybe asking them too to help. So we were talking about engaging them and actually asking them to help up. I mean, everyone's a caregiver to their loved one, but letting them do as much as they can to keep them that independent is also it's also like a program in engaging. Let them, help you set up some things.
Absolutely.
And in the home environment, everything really is an activity.
Right.
It's even like, getting up and like making the coffee. That's something that you could consistently do as an activity together that they can help with. So every morning at 8 a.m. we're going to make the coffee. We're going to walk out and get the newspaper. That's a consistent thing that you can frame out each day that anchors them to their morning. And so things that we do, those structures, making the bed, that's something you could put on a schedule. So you frame out the whole day. Even though we all have busy lives and it's not going to be the exact same, there are certain things you could probably commit to as a family and as a caregiver that could structure the day enough for them that they develop the physical memory like we do at Bridges.
And building that schedule based on your personal, routine and schedule is important. And I love the point you bring up about actually making a physical schedule.
Right.
Abby creates a physical schedule each and every day, and it's something that we can refer to, that we can hold on to and expect to see what's next. And being realistic, making the bed is an activity. Setting time to make the coffee and seeing the time and what the actual activity is can help someone, not just with knowing that the activity is coming, but also with time of day, and to just feel reassured knowing what they're expecting throughout the day.
And you said something that I think is really important, which is the part about like, can you help me? That your loved one is always capable of participating in some way. So to invite them by saying, hey, can you help me with this? Can we do this together? So it becomes collaborative and they're included in the process rather than like, I got to get you your lunch now.
Right.
It's time for me to bring you your lunch. It's time for me to get you an activity. It's like, hey, we're going to walk and get the newspaper now, or we're going to make the bed together. Can you help me make the bed? And so
it makes them feel useful.
Right.
It gives them a sense of purpose now for their day, which I think is really important. A lot of times I'm asked, why are we doing this?
Right.
And it's, if you give them a sense sense of purpose, that's really, really important for their self-esteem. And when Sarah had said, and Erica, the daily schedule, that's actually a nice thing for them to have because you can refer to it.
Right. They can hold it.
They can hold
tactile.
it, and you can say, this is what's happening next, this is the time, and it's something that they help them manage their time.
Absolutely. And it could even be a template. I know you use a template and you print a new one out every day, so maybe it's the template and you keep it colorful. You know, if you have a doctor's appointment to go to that day, you know, put that in at that time slot. And because, you know, having colorful activities, you know, even though we are routine, we also have a lot of color to it. You know, one thing I'd love to also touch on is sometimes when we're planning these activities, you know, you touched upon, you know, breaking down and adapting. And we've worked with caregivers, you know, as people progress with this disease, it can become more difficult to physically partake, or maybe folks just, you know, are not able to participate with a once loved hobby such as painting. But there are still ways we can engage in art, and Erica had brought it up, you know, if we're not able to actually do the painting, you know, how can we hold attention span or keep involvement with hobbies that folks like?
You can also do things like more visual or like showing a book of art and then talking about art.
Like open-ended questions, not, you know, who painted this or do you know the artist, but I know you use some really great kind of like conversational cues when you're doing an artwork viewing like that.
Remember we did that one, so we had a resident who was an artist and struggled a little bit because she felt badly, like, well, my art's not like it used to be. We ended up doing a showing of her art. And so, you know, Abby's able to facilitate it like an art showing and say, like, can you talk to us about your paintings? And so it was a real source of pride for this resident. She got to know other people because of it, but that can also be a way to showcase somebody's talent and talk about it in a way that they're not expected to produce the same results they produced a while ago. Or if someone's a scientist, hey, I saw this paper that you wrote a long time ago. I'd love to talk about it a little bit and share it with other people. And so sharing that source of pride.
Honing in on their strengths. You know, there's many folks that we work with that, you know, may not have good short-term recall, but a lot of times really thrive and live on those past memories. And to bring out that conversation where they're kind of like their strong suit is encouraging for them to be a part of the conversation.
Right. And you can also have, like, when we had some teachings too, like sometimes if they were a baker or something and you help them lead the baking. So instead of you showing them, they can show you. Or show the group.
Or making one of their recipes
together.
I mean, these are just really great tips when we think about it. You know, we talk about just the importance of having routine, keeping things simplified, personable, keeping people's abilities in mind.
And staying flexible.
And staying
flexible.
We always have a backup plan. You could definitely, you know, start an activity thinking it's going to be, you know, the best thing and that someone's going to love it. And if not, you know, don't give it up altogether. Be quick to switch it up and maybe try it again with a different approach. But certainly, you know, reach out. There's folks like us who are professionals in the field, you know, reach out. There are some great tips and advice online about how to adapt activities and programs, but we're here and happy to help and hope that these tips are helpful to you. So thanks and enjoy those activity kits.
Thank you.
Bye.